You fly by what they call right at the ceiling. It's where you go right into the clouds, or you can see everything. And we got into some really bad choppy weather, and it shot us right up into the clouds. And it was when you're in that, it's called 0-0 visibility. You can't see up, you can't see down, the pilot is just, I remember him just like looking like, where's the hole? Where do I guide the plane? Because we were actually descending to come down to get through there's a cut in the mountain to get into Kodiak. So we were surrounded by mountains.
Wow.
And I turned to my sister-in-law and I said, this plane's going down. And I've always tried to be really positive in my life, but I could see the pilot's face. And when you see, like, he's such a calm, easygoing guy, and he had the steering wheel. And when you fly a plane, you push in to go down and you push up to bring the plane up. And he had his hand and he was hugging that steering wheel as hard as he could to pull the plane up. But it didn't feel like we were getting any air to go up. And all of a sudden, it gets, so the same, feeling, the same, clouds are different. Clouds are patchy. Clouds are, you can see depth of like high lows. This was just the same white sheer. And this, all of a sudden, the whole inside of the cockpit is filled with this white sheer. And I have to be honest, I woke up the next morning after that dream and I thought, oh, that's interesting. I've never dreamed about my mom. And I just didn't think another thing about it until at that moment. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is what she was talking about, that something terrible is going to happen. Because it was the same, I don't know, I deal with material. And so the texture of the feeling of like the mist and everything, the feeling that I had when she came and talked to me, that is what was inside this plane. And when we hit, it took the floats off.
You hit the mountain.
Hit the mountain. It rips the floats off, and that, thank goodness, that's the gasoline. And so we skidded 1,200 feet, and then gravity pulled us down 1,800 feet. So we did like this, and it was bumpy. I don't remember all of it. But I'm telling you that you have to think of people were people screaming, people asked me, and I said, I've never felt such peace and quiet, and it was silent. It was just silent. And it felt to me, and I was confirmed by this, and I'll tell you a little bit in a minute, that I just thought, there are angels on the wings of this, because there is, from just guiding this plane. So you have to understand that by the time we stopped, we were from here, I want to say 20 feet from a cliff that would have dropped 1,800 feet down. There's no way we would have survived that.
So you landed on top of a cliff?
So we skidded up the mountain, and then when we went down, so the plane skid up, then the plane kind of went sideways, and so now we're skidding down on the wing.
Oh, man.
And the wing got stuck in the stream terminus of the mountain. That's where after water, they creates those little, and so the plane wing got stuck in that. But if the plane wouldn't have taken that turn and slid back, like sideways down, we would have gone over that cliff of 1,800 feet. We would have never survived that. So I just believe that there were angels that were just guiding this plane. And of course, to just a safe landing nonetheless. So the Coast Guard flies over, and it's patchy weather. It's 0-0 visibility, and all they can see is the wing of the plane. That's it. I mean, not the wing, the tail of the plane. And they radioed and they said, there's just no way there's survivors. There's metal all over the mountain. There's no way anyone survived this plane crash. So we're going to leave it alone. We're going to leave it overnight. And we consider this, what they call it, rescue. And then after rescue, it's recovery.
Wait, so is that normal? They go off an assumption that
the
dead?
assumption that everyone was dead. Because remember, the history of this is there had never been an airplane crash, a bush plane crash in Alaska that anyone had ever survived, let alone all of us had survived. And we were the people in front were, I don't know what you want me to go into, but the windshield, I don't know if you are even old enough but windshields back in the day when they broke, now they have all that shatter stuff in. Well, when we hit, the windshield was just panes of glass and it just basically sliced the pilot's face off. So, but what we found out after the plane when we landed, the plane was on fire. So all the electrical panel, it wasn't fire from gas, it was fire from the electrical panel. And, thank goodness that the gentleman that is a pilot was not sitting in the co-pilot seat, because this lady was hurt the very, very worst. He was sitting by the door and opened the door and got us all out while the plane was on fire.
So upon crashing, everyone was conscious?
Everyone was conscious.
What was everyone saying? What was
Nothing.
The commotion?
What I was saying, it was just quiet.
Okay.
It was like I was saying, it was just the most peaceful.
So that was after the crash, not during the turbulence.
During the crash, nothing. It was just, and you would think that people would be going, screaming, yelling, and even the pilot, because now I have to be honest, I don't know if I passed out. I had a severe head injury. So, but my recollection, even I talked to my sister-in-law that was also in the plane crash with me. She's like, she says, Marci, it was just like holy. It felt holy.
The whole experience.
Yes. The whole experience felt totally like a holy experience. And she didn't know, and I don't even think I even told her about the dream about my mother. And so it wasn't until later that I said, I talked about, the dream that my mom had and coming to me and that everything would be fine. So a couple of weeks ago, I had a conversation with the pilot's wife. And he, years later, died in a different plane accident. Oof. And I wanted to talk to her and because I want to write this story about the bravery it was during the year of Exxon Valdez, the plane crash. And so when the Coast Guard flew over and they said, there's no one that survived, we're going to leave it until tomorrow. There's no reason to risk, our lives to try and rescue people that we perceive as dead. The pilot's best friend was flying helicopter for Exxon Valdez. And he said to his captain or whatever, said, you know what, my friend's been in a plane crash, and I know that he would try and save that plane. I'm going to go find him. And he literally took that. And I just think that even when I hear the experience of what he did to try and find us, and now think about it, 0 visibility. When I say you can't see 10 feet in front of you, you can't not. There is nothing past 10 feet. And he got in his helicopter and he used, and I wish I could say the right word, but it's an echo, whatever. And he would fly up the mountain, and he was looking for plane parts. And then he eventually found plane wreckage and he found us and then radioed and said, they're all alive.